Hello, world. My name is Nelson Whitaker, Norfolk State University graduate student majoring in visual studies with 3D printing as my focus of study. I'm creating a video series to document my journey using the 3D software application called Blender. Blender is a free open source 3D computer graphics software toolset used for creating various projects ranging from short animated films, special effects, compositing, video games, and much more, or in my case, 3D printing. 3D software programs are powerful tools for creativity to convey an idea visually to the public for the purpose of either entertainment or education. The beauty of this path, let alone entering in the world of 3D modeling, specifically with Blender, is that everyday people, regardless of their professional or walk in life, can pick this up and create to their heart's content, be it for a simple hobby or for the pursuit of employment and financial stability. To this day, there are companies around the world that have need of 3D artists, and the stronger your skill sets become, the more doors of opportunity will open up for you. But a little bit about myself. I obtained a bachelor's of fine arts in Norfolk State, but a little before or after I graduated, I had in my mind that my current skill set and knowledge would not be enough. That also included my current skill set as an artist being subpar or below average compared to what was already out there in the world at the time. If I wanted to create art or at least obtain my goal of being an artist, I needed more tools in my tool belt. So throwing everyone's opinion to the side, and I mean everybody, because whenever you go to various social gatherings and someone asks you the question, so what do you do for a living? And you say artist or graphic designer, well, yeah, you probably felt that type of experience, so I won't go any further. But before things were getting bad, I began to continue my journey of education beyond the classroom. And that journey led me to discovering the world of 3D modeling. That's not to say that I discovered it, and yeah, I was just oblivious about that. Things like advertisements, commercials, video games, holographic kiosks, augmented reality. I was like, oh, well, that was 3D. No, that's not to say that, but it's more of along the lines of seeing 3D being a affordable, well, not affordable, seeing 3D being more of a profitable skill set that could be used to either create a job or to find employment. I looked at it in terms of that outlook. So I started learning 3D, started learning the foundations of 3D modeling, and that pretty much led me to how I learned those things. And how did I learn the ways of 3D modeling? YouTube, lots of YouTube videos, lots and lots and lots of YouTube videos. And a book or two that actually got me started, thanks to one of my professors, Professor Tompkins of computer imaging. Shout out to him. I needed to understand the fundamentals of what polygons were, lines, vertices, the importance of having good topology, the difference between specular maps and normal maps, and bump maps, why everything in 4K, when something is bigger, is not always better, especially when you're working with a budget, either financial budget for marketing or simple budgeting from the amount of polygons you can put on a screen. All that plays a factor, all that's important, which pretty much is why optimization is life. I sought to learn as much as I could with the time I had available, and those that had my back and supported me along that journey, I am forever thankful. I couldn't have done it without them. So after, say, the 100th video tutorial about learning tips and tricks when modeling assets, I found employment. I was given the opportunity to work with companies that focused on U.S. military defense contracting. I contributed to various virtual task trainer and hybrid learning projects such as the STAVE project, Project STAVE. That is basically teaching our service members in a virtual simulation setting to prepare them for mission critical tasks that will be acquired of them upon deployment. I was also given opportunity to be accepted in the Player Studio program, creating video game assets for game company formerly known as Sony Online Entertainment, now Rogue Planet Games, subsidiary to Daybreak Game Company. My commissions have been accepted and are still available in their game PlanetSide 2, which is still available on both PC, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 game consoles. Specifically, I have created a series of Vanu Samurai helmets. That is one of the factions in the game. You have 3 factions: Vanu, Terran Republic, and the New Conglomerate. Awesome game. And on top of the helmets, I've also created a number of aircraft cosmetics. All of it still available as we speak in the cash shops. And I have continued my 3D modeling journey into another game, Conan Exiles, through the modding community. Conan Exiles was made by Funcom. Their game is also of PC and game consoles as well too. But through the modding community, I am part of a team called Emberlight, and Emberlight has created a mod that is very successful, ranging from well above 100,000 subscribers, and is continuing to grow to this day. On top of the Emberlight mod, I have created a personal mod of mine, the Ujima Metal Shaper Smithsonian, and that mod is, I have set a goal to create 100 weapons pretty much for the community, and in turn, I receive and still receiving commissions to this day for the mod. All these things have been very lucrative and has helped me and continue to help me in terms of tuition support and other things. Earlier I mentioned that I also do 3D printing, which is true. So when I spoke about my tuition and everything, I returned to Norfolk State to obtain both my MA and MFA in visual studies. I have placed my focus on 3D printing, as 3D printing is becoming more and more accepted, used, and it's becoming more affordable, and also, of course, becoming more saturated when it comes to choosing the right 3D printer for many companies out there. I aim to use 3D printing as a fine arts medium, similar to sculpting or ceramics. Now, that last part can be debated if one wishes, but I believe that 3D printing is a medium that is something that artists should explore if they have not done so already. There are, right now, several artists that are using 3D printing, either in terms of similar to sculpting or using 3D printing for fashion. Very creative, very, very skilled artists. Much respect to them. But of course, this all ties back to the main purpose of this video journey. What does the viewer get out of all this? Simply put, while I embark on this journey, I also plan on sharing any information across the viewers, be it of other videos, links, techniques. Whatever I'm using, I wish to share and explain why I'm using it. Second, I will not shy away from still taking the stance of me being a perpetual student. Just because I made it this far and I have experienced many opportunities, I strongly feel that I still have a lot to learn. And there are modelers out there and professionals out there that have mastered the craft and have earned their high level of positions where they are now. So, my goal is to be at their level, but at the same time, I will continue to show, quote unquote, my homework to the viewers. So, a couple of questions while I'm here. Why Blender? Why not other 3D programs like 3D Max or Maya or Cinema 4D or other industry standard software? Well, my answer to that is for one, Blender as it stands now is a capable enough program that's holding its own with the likes of the other industry standard programs. You make a character in Max or Maya, you could do that with Blender on top of the sculpting options. Usually when 3D Max and Maya, or say, for example, on Max, you can do all the modeling in the world, but when it comes to sculpting, you go and use another program like ZBrush, whereas Blender is almost all in-house. Oh, okay, I want to do modeling, cool. And now I want to do some sculpting, cool. And then I want to go retopolize that sculpting character, cool. I can do all that in Blender plus plugins. So it is becoming more stronger each version. Not to mention you have partnerships with Epic Games and their $1.2 million mega grant, and a growing number of plugins being created for the program. Again, making it a very formidable powerhouse of an application. Not everyone, number two, not everyone has 3D Max or Maya money. 3D Max and Maya is like up. Last I checked, still in the thousands as far as trying to afford it. And on top of that, also last I checked, they are not doing any perpetual licenses. They have moved on to a subscription model. So, that's also including subscription models and even with their student program. And for me, just to be facetious, if the word applies, with the growing issue of tuition and inflation and prices rising for us college students, the moment the price of ramen goes up, that's a wrap. So with Blender being open source and free, you could download it and try it out and make something, and even probably get another couple of commissions to help pay the bills. Far less loopholes and hoops to go through. Far less. And number three, while it's true that many companies are not picking up Blender in droves due to the massive amount of infrastructure changes that might follow if they do so, Blender is a good starting point of getting into 3D. To build a foundation of 3D modeling principles, if you end up learning these principles, say you find employment and they use 3D Max or Maya, well, it may take some time to learn some of the terminology and some of the key strokes and hotkeys of that program, but the general 3D principles is universal. So if you have a solid principle base, you could go from Blender to 3D Max, or 3D Max to Maya, or Maya to Blender, or whatever else, and you could still move forward from there. So those are my reasons. And again, once again, open source, it's free. It's a program that you can not only model, sculpt, animate, and composite along with having a render, and it's still being updated. I'm repeating myself over again, but I'm just reiterating as far as why I'm choosing this path. And when time comes when I want to start doing workshops, if I when I get to that point, I will explain it. For the everyday person that's starting out and wish to get their feet wet without losing a toe or finger doing it, why not? Why not just give it a try? You may like it. So to wrap this up, I will be documenting my progress, and I will also showcase why I have created using this program. And part of my documentation will include tutorials of the basics of using Blender, from the user interface, the terminology, general information to all up to the finished item itself. So that's all. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Instagram, Nelson Whitaker, to see some of my work. And I also have an art station, Nelson Whitaker, which is also available. Both links are in the description. So with all that said, let's get started.